slow down, Sparky. I need to get some things straight.
No time, Morris. We need to find the next prospect.
Well, it's just that I don't quite understand what we're doing.
We're looking for the custodian.
Well, I get that bit, Sparky, but what does the custodian have to do exactly?
Oh, well, it's hard to explain with your human words, but, the custodian kind of mingles with the island, becomes a part of it.
Well, a part of the rock, the volcano.
Yes, the rock, and the sea, and the animals and plants. The custodian becomes a part of all of these things. It becomes part of the island spirit.
And you give up being a ghost.
Yeah, well, a walking around talking kind of ghost. Stop being someone who can go into the West. It's quite a sacrifice.
Oh, wow. Oh, no wonder Val doesn't want to fill those shoes. Aggie must be a legend.
Well, she really is.
I always thought there were those folks destined to be mayors and, I suppose, custodians. And then there are people like me and Val, destined for smaller lives.
What? Small? Morris, your heart is as big as the island. Everyone knows that.
Yeah, I suppose I'm more like one of those island oddities in the museum.
Yeah, and they were always the visitors' favourites. Now, we need to move on. Next up is Ogden Beckett, in the Old Town.
Ogden it is. I'm right behind you, Sparky.
You really think these 5 people are gonna do that? Why not find somebody who's hung around? Surely there's more than 5 ghosts.
So, Ogden next, eh? I'll be glad to see him again.
His music always hurt my ears, but he was good at chin scratchers. Oh, lovely guy. Oh, look, the ferry's coming in. There'll be loads of tourists all over this quayside soon.
Well, I suppose they won't get in our way much anymore, eh, girl?
Anybody in here? A bootlegger?
I remember when a young Ogden asked to join the Shelmerston Silver Band. I recognised his talent immediately. He could play anything, that lad. Literally anything. Eventually he settled on the sousaphone, which he always insisted on playing with his lucky bronze mouthpiece.
You may want to change
One
that.
evening after the Silver Band played a storming concert in the Camel, Ogden and Sally got it into their heads to go for a night swim in the harbour, young love and all that. Ogden left his mouthpiece behind, and when we came back the next morning to pack up, it had disappeared. It really rattled him. Ogden was worried he wouldn't be able to perform without it, but of course next time we played, he was just as good as ever. Didn't need any lucky mouthpiece, our Ogden. He could play anything, that lad.
Ogden was so talented. A real virtuoso. Oh, I loved listening to him play.
Is that it?
Ugh, speak for yourself, Morris. It was a terrible racket.
Will you not inform me?
It was the day of the island cricket match out on the volcanic sand spit. We had lost to Appledore for the past 3 years, and it was my first year as captain. I didn't want another loss on my watch. Ogden had just come back from New Zealand and told me he'd be up for it. I wasn't sure. I remembered Ogden from school. He was lanky and good in the field, but batting... not sure. Ogden showed up with his own bat. He told me he'd won it in a pub in Dunedin and that it had belonged to a famous New Zealand player. I wondered whether I should put him into bat at all, but Ogden whispered to me that he'd been playing on deck all the way home. I knew Ogden wasn't a bluffer, but he was never the guy who got picked for the first team at school. Still, I had nothing to lose. Ogden hit a 6 with his first stroke. We went wild! And just when I thought it must be a fluke, he hit another! And another! He was a machine! Ogden hit so many cricket balls out into the sea that we had to stop play. We'd run out. It was a stunning win, and we carried Ogden back across the sand and into the Camel. Even though he'd won the match pretty much single-handedly, he insisted it was all down to the bat and plenty of practice. Ogden was solid gold.
And he thinks he's lucky?
How's that? What a great day that was. And we've beaten Appledore every year since. Those poor chaps never did recover from Ogden's incredible batting.
A barnacle. Oop. That's what a cricket ball looks like.
Hey, Morris, remember when we found one of these heavy balls on the beach and I dropped it on your toe?
Now I just head back over here and find it. They're talking about these things that they keep losing when they were young and stuff, but it's been years and it's still here? How does that make any sense? There's a lot of birds outside. Do I know what I'm looking for? I think so. Yeah.
They seem to have been using it as a funnel. These bootleggers are very resourceful. I'm getting the scent of Grenkins again, Morris.
Okay. Thanks. Yeah, that looks like it. I need the platinum. So So we will find all of these. Ref. Whoa. Kind of difficult to find, but okay. Oh, that's kind of dangerous. There's fishermen, and yet we sell to fish. Yes. Although they do, it's getting pretty large, the amount of these. I just gotta get better at spotting them then, yeah? And the moment I say that, I am unable to do such a thing. Can I see all of the ones we've found? Yes. And at the sink behind you. There's so many objects I gotta find. No. Could it be one of these objects? No. Okay, what are you thinking?
We were 14 when we started going out. Me and my friend Cassia had started a beach clean at the weekend, and Ogden turned up with his mate Godfrey. I had no idea Ogden liked me. He was the tallest in our year, and we all fancied him. By the time we reached the little cove at the north end of the beach, he'd asked me to come to a concert he was playing in. I said yes. We'd been going out for a few years when I applied to Floristry College on the mainland. I didn't tell Ogden. I didn't believe I'd get in, and didn't want him to think I was trying to get away from him. Ogden might have looked mature and confident, but he was a gentle soul, not nearly as sure of himself as he looked. But I did get in, and he was gutted. I felt terrible. I didn't want to hurt Ogden. He said he didn't mind, but I could see he was covering. My last week on Shelmerston was really hard. Every time I saw him, it felt so strained, and I couldn't sleep. Finally, on my last night, I made a decision. I would take an apprenticeship at the garden centre on the island instead, so we could stay together. It felt like the right thing to do. I would tell Ogden in the morning. But when I opened the door the next day, I found Ogden's sousaphone left on the doorstep. I was terrified. What did it mean? What had he done? I ran down to his house, my heart in my mouth. His mum, she never did like me, was a little bit smug. She told me Ogden had sailed off to New Zealand. He was headed to Christchurch, she said, and didn't know when he was coming back. Then she shut the door.
Wow.
I was more than a bit tearful, but, looking back, I think we both needed to have a bit of an adventure.
I spent a lot of time with Sally during this period. We used to meet up quite often when she returned from Floristry College and I was working at the museum. For a while I thought maybe we would get together. But she always seemed a bit out of reach, sort of distracted. Well, it makes sense now.
What could this ship in a bottle be? Indefatigable. Never heard that word.
How did that get in there?
It's a special technique called line. Can't possibly miss this one. There are not that many things in here. That is such an odd angle. Yes, one moment.
I remember we was walking home from school, a bunch of us, and I told him my granddad said the lad had a live Bactrian camel living somewhere in the woods. Everyone laughed, but I told them it was true. Ogden didn't believe me. Someone would have seen it. He dared me to climb in and prove it. I told him he'd have to come with me. Sneaking past the big house, we were almost caught by the gamekeeper and had to run, hell for leather, for the woods. We reached the trees out of breath. I was bent double and leant against a tree. Ogden had better breath control and he recovered quickly. He saw it first. The clouds parted, the moon shone down, and Ogden gasped. And then I did too. Was it? It was. The next day, we were kicking ourselves. We had no proof. No one was going to believe us. But we knew what we saw.
Oh, yeah, he was a couple of years above these chaps at school. Oh, and he's right. No one believed them. We gave them so much stick.
Come on. Either way, we're looking for a camel. Surely these people see that the volcano's smoking, yes?
Camels are said.
Oh. Oops. Those. Still, we're only on number 3. There better not be 30 at one point. I was about to say, I can't possibly miss this one. Some large gobstoppers. though I've seen some as large as baseballs. Not that it's easy to finish them in the slightest. Look at those arrows. Freyish keepers. Just double checking everything. Well, why is the level on its side? Maybe it is one of these buoyancy aid. Oh, a life jacket. Alright, what did I miss in here? These things? But of course. Sorry, what exactly do you want? A house? Maybe this winch? No, could be up top. Where could it be? So it's just the cut through that makes that shape and nothing else. Makes it a bit harder. Flavor with a U? Good, good. Missing just one. And it's not over here? Ooh.
I missed Ogden so much, and for the first month there was no letter at all. I took my place at college on the mainland without knowing how he was feeling. It was a shock how low it made me, even though I was working with flowers, my dream job. I threw myself into making friends and working as hard as I could. I wondered about him travelling the world, without me and without his sousaphone. What he was doing, how he was feeling. Then the letters started arriving, and it was amazing. Each one came with a penny from a different country. One from Valparaiso, another from Dakar. I wrote back and told Ogden about my course, trips to Kew Gardens, which were amazing. And Ogden told me about his voyage, watching dolphins and flying fish, crossing the equator. Sometimes we were both lonely. We poured out our hearts to each other. In a funny way, I think the letters made us closer than ever. When he arrived in Christchurch, he'd send me flowers pressed in his letters. I sent him a shell from home, and then he sent me a New Zealand halfpenny. It was my favourite. On one side was the head of a Maori tiki. Ogden told me it was lucky. I came back to the island, and when my father died, I opened up my own florist shop on the quay. I tucked the halfpenny under the front step for luck, polished up Ogden's sousaphone and put it in the window. They both brought me luck, and the shop flourished. One day, Ogden showed up at the shop, completely out of the blue. He told me there was nowhere like Shelmerston, and no one like me. I was so thrilled to see him, I asked him to marry me there and then. He said yes.
The lure of Shelmerston. It always pulls people back when they try to move away. They were a lovely couple, Sally and Ogden.
So where could this totem be? Just steal it? Is it in here? Or, oh, it looks like a circle. Why is the harbor full of these things? Not very safe. got a knife. You spent that.
Yeah, one good thing about being dead, I'll never have to deal with counting change again.
Cool, but I need to find
Ah, yes.
Okay. And sometimes it only has to be cut off the cross section. Wow. Yet something tells me he doesn't want to stay put in one place forever. Yeah.
Oh, this feels so good. Terrific to see you, Morris.
Oh, it's great to see you too, mate.
Have a stretch, Ogden. We have a question for you.
Sparky, owner of the very finest singing voice on the island. What can I do for you?
Well, it's about the custodian. We need a replacement.
Ah, yes. I've heard that volcano rumbling. Poor Aggie must be very tired.
Yes, she is. We need a replacement.
Oh, you want me to be the custodian? Well, I'm honored, but I can't.
Are you sure? The island is in dire need.
I know, and I sympathize, but Sally is the other half of me. I need to watch over her. Everything else may be changing, but she's my constant, and I'm hers. I need to go into the West with her when it's her time.
Yes, I understand. You two always did have an enviable connection.
We were very lucky to find each other. And I'm still lucky just to watch over her. Makes this place still feel a bit like home, even as it changes. So I'm going to stay. But listen, once you've found the custodian, come back and enjoy a sniff of that beer in the Camel with me, eh?
Sure, Ogden. Well, see you around.